Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
I thought it would be a nice night to catch a sunset. I had the drone in my hand, and someone said, "What's that?" And we look up, and there was, I put it on TikTok, it looked like a black jellyfish, a gigantic black jellyfish, and it sailed right over the retreat, directly through the center line of the ship, right through our X and our stack, and just floated through. Thing was, we had no wind, maybe 5 knots at the time, but this thing was cruising along about 10-15 miles per hour, just cruised right over, and as it passed the stern of the ship, it went a couple hundred meters, maybe 300 to 400 meters, and then it started to descend into the water. But because it was sunset, we couldn't put a rescue boat down to go see what it was, but it disappeared into the water, and we have no idea. It wasn't a drone, there was no noise associated with it, so if you want to see our UFO, it's okay.
I thought it wasn't a drone.
Yeah.
Kind of disappointed that it didn't show the craft going into the water, because I'm convinced that's where all these things are emerging from. That's why we don't see alien bases or suspected alien bases all over the map, because they're all coming from under the water.
The famous Naka Cave in Thailand. The cave that is actually the buried snakes from the age of the mud fossils. Walking around the cave from the inside to the outside, you see the remains of these buried snakes. This realm was much larger then, and what we are told to dismiss as just rocks are anything but. They were the larger inhabitants of this realm. We are living in a world of lies and illusions perpetrated by the parasites that run everything today. They want you completely oblivious and unaware of this world's true history, the true beautiful history of this realm. They want us thinking we are nothing, spinning around on a rock in a vast sea of emptiness. To deny the existence of a divine creator, to deny your true existence. You matter, and we are here for a reason. You are far more powerful than you realize, with limitless capabilities. Why do you think they lie so much? Why do you think they perverse so much of our history? It is because those parasites truly do fear that power of us. People unaware of their true past, of their true existence in nature, are all that much easier to control. And I believe it was my purpose, my gift of this voice, to help those realize that. And I will continue to use this gift given to me to spread the word. And I'm telling you folks, once you see this world for what it truly is and reach for those gifts given to you, it is an amazing place. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
That is by far some of the most convincing mud flood fossil photos that I've seen. That absolutely looks like someone carved a snake out of the stone. For them to claim that those are natural formations that happen by themselves and they just happen to look that similar to a snake, I don't buy that. They're either created and that's why they look like a snake, or they are the fossilized remains of a gigantic creature.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but you can now all go on the Titanic. Do we not learn? No, this is not going on the Ocean Gate or anything similar as that. In fact, it's not even going to the Titanic. This is just strange. So this Australian billionaire right here obviously loved the Titanic. Now obviously he's a little bit sad he didn't get to go on the first one, and he's got so much money that he thought, why not build another one? So yeah, the Titanic 2.0 is actually going to be built. Now this Titanic 2 will be an exact replica of the first one. looking exactly the same, doing the same things, apart from hitting an iceberg, and will take people around the world in luxury and style, basically fitting out all the interior, all the exterior, exactly the same as the first one. And I mean, to be honest, it's quite a good idea, because there probably would be quite a lot of people that would want to go on it for some reason. Now, there's actually been plans to build a Titanic 2.0 quite a few times. This is actually the third time it's been proposed, but this time it's actually very likely that it will be built. Now, if it does get approved and go into production, it will start production in 2025 with an estimated release date of 2027. So 2 years to build that flipping boat. Quite quick, isn't it? But it's estimated to cost between $500 million and $700 million to actually build this boat and fit it out exactly like the original. Now, yeah, if this thing was just sitting in one harbour and people could go on it and see what it was like, cool. Actually taking people the same route as the previous one did, I'm not too sure. Although it's going to be a lot more safer and a lot more advanced than before. Obviously, we have better technology and engineering now. So, fingers crossed, it will be all good. But let me know in the comments down below if you'll be going on the Titanic 2.0. And as always, hit that follow button and I will keep you updated.
I'm not going to lie. I was kind of interested in this and thinking, I might want to go check that out. Until he said they were taking the same path, taking the same route that the original Titanic sank on. That's going to be a hard pass for me. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I make a new one just like it every other day. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back to join me.
I do believe there were humans just like us, an advanced civilization left out of history, but its traces still remain. All the maps from the past show of the Tartarian Empire, with the Great Wall of Tartaria separating China from Tartaria right there. Done a previous video on that. Even the more illustrious maps from back then, the more fancier ones. This was my father's map. The Tartarian Empire. They were just the latest erased from this history that is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon, and what they say about that history is it's written by the conquerors. But it's hard to erase all traces of such an empire that lasted so long and had such great reach. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
I threw this in there because I got several comments yesterday about the whole Tartaria thing, thinking that Tartaria couldn't exist because the Chicago World Fair thing was a bust. And I don't believe that at all. I think that the Chicago World's Fair, is incorrectly attributed to Tartarian culture or to the Tartarian people. The Chicago World's Fair has nothing to do with Tartaria. Maybe some of the Tartarian people were here and participating in the Chicago World Fair. That's a possibility, but I don't think that the Chicago World's Fair has anything to do with Tartarian history as far as why they were covered up or how that cover-up took place. But when you have things like this, showing maps and depictions of an area that supposedly never existed, explain this. It just doesn't make any sense. There's too many depictions of Tartaria. There's too many maps. There's too many flags. There's too many history books that talk about the Tartarian people for there to be nothing to it. It makes more sense that they were erased from history than it does that 100 years ago all of these countries came together and decided to create a fake landmass and a fake people to inhabit that fake landmass and start writing about it and make up all these stories and stuff to try to convince people that a place that doesn't exist did exist. That makes even less sense.
That it was the retrieval of alien technology and perhaps bodies. In fact, there are a number of well-researched UFO crash events, so suppose for a moment that it happened. That would mean that the cover-up involves much more than mere knowledge of other beings here on planet Earth. It would mean there is possession of such advanced technology as to be nearly incomprehensible, at least at first. Hard to consider, and yet an inevitable conclusion. So what happens when teams of brilliant scientists with total secrecy and nearly limitless black budget funds are able to study recovered alien technology for many years and even decades? Could it not be that, given enough time and effort, even if they couldn't replicate what they found, they might have learned a few things? Some such claims have been made, and it's reasonable to suppose that breakthroughs would have been made. Breakthroughs such as solid-state electronics, fiber optics, high-tensile fibers, lasers, and an array of other money-making opportunities for the defense and other industries. None of this has been proven, but it is also true that the private research undertaken in classified environments is not easy for outside researchers to observe. And in fact, it would be very easy to hide the Roswell connection in the historical treatment of these and other technologies. Another relevant consideration of such breakthroughs is that they would reduce to zero any incentive to reveal the secret to the public. Why give up the goose that lays golden eggs? But now matters become even more interesting, because what if some of the breakthroughs were even more significant? What if they included secrets to what is known as field propulsion or electrogravitics? What if they led to a new source of energy, something that could replace petroleum? To those managing these special access programs, they could never allow such breakthroughs to see the light of day. Of course, those scientists doing the research would need to continue and learn everything they could about electrogravitics, anti-gravity, new sources of energy, and any related topics. Consider also what happens when such breakthroughs become classified. We know it happens all too frequently that public science has become hostage to national security. What we're looking at is a situation in which the classified black budget world, at least part of it, has gone so far ahead of the rest of us, we may, with justice, almost look upon them as a separate society, something I've sometimes called a breakaway civilization. How far ahead might some of that classified world be? Those of us on the outside trying to peek in can only make educated guesses or investigate occasional leaks. My own conclusion, at least for now, is that they are very far ahead indeed, with the ability even to enter and leave Earth orbit with much greater ease than people suspect, perhaps a clandestine space fleet, most likely a significant built infrastructure, a large portion of which is deep underground, and even, why not, possible encounters with non-human intelligences? Why would that be so impossible? To what extent would such a group even answer to the President of the United States? Do they rather answer to private, international, financial powers, which basically is how the whole world already operates? I had a long conversation once with a retired senior intelligence official. He had given briefings to...
I hate to interrupt. The witness has about 1 minute. I just want...
I have 1 minute left. Thank you. This gentleman had given briefings to President Reagan. This man knows a very great deal about UFOs and told me that he had spoken to 18 former presidents, CIA directors, and DoD secretaries about UFOs after their retirement. Their attitudes fell into 3 categories. One group, roughly 3 or 4 of them, said essentially, "What's wrong with you? Why waste your time with that nonsense?" Another equally small group made it clear that they had been briefed on the matter and knew that it was serious. But the largest group, at least half of all of the individuals who had been at the pinnacle of power, had said, "You know about UFOs? I would love to know about that, but got nowhere. Can you share what you know?" In other words, our top political leadership, with a few exceptions, is locked out of this subject because they come and go. But the program managers are lifers. They seem to answer to someone else. Recall the words of the late Senator Daniel Inouye from 1987. There exists a shadowy government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of national interest, free from all checks and balances, and free from the law itself. He was on to something.
And the witness, thank you.
What I basically gather from what he's saying there is that not only do we have these shadow governments that are backwards engineering these crafts and hiding it from the general public, but they're also hiding it from our elected officials, the people that we actually elect to be in charge of us. What that says to me is if there is some government psyop and they're going to stage some grand invasion by these aliens to get us to fall in line and become part of this one world government. It's not our elected officials that are doing it. It's these unelected officials who work in these shadowy organizations that are off the books, that have unlimited funding, and they don't have to answer to anybody. So the government that we see constantly on TV infuriating us with the stupid decisions that they make left and right is not even the real government that we have to worry about whenever it comes to this particular stuff. That's what I gathered from that speech.
This film footage certainly seems to depict interest by Russian military personnel in the object that is seen sticking out of the ground. Soldiers, officers, and civilian-clothed agents are deployed around the site, and they appear to be both guarding and examining the object. This is what we found on one of the 4 reels of film obtained in Russia. After viewing the footage, we were able to determine that it was most likely shot with 2 separate cameras. One apparently a handheld camera, which starts out on the approaching truck, and a second one, seen here on a tripod. As the soldiers march past, you can see the cameraman turn to follow the troops. Here we cut to the other angle, the point of view from the tripod camera. And here you see the handheld camera as the truck pulls up. Both cameras change vantage points several times during the film, as if to get better views, or perhaps under orders of a superior. From this angle, we see yet more troops around. And here you see the man who is probably the head KGB agent, directing the cameraman to point his camera toward the disc. A total of almost 1,200 feet of negative were recovered just on this crash site. It is possible that more film was shot, but this is all that we were able to obtain. None of this film depicts the removal of the disc itself, and at no point do we see inside the object. From this angle, we do see the handheld camera shooting behind or inside the disc. However, that footage, if it was in fact ever shot, was not included in the cans of film we acquired. We can only speculate that it may still be at large. We must also speculate on how the object ended up here. Based on information from Vereshchagin's book and what we can see in this footage, we have created this computer-animated version of how researchers believe the crash may have occurred. The questions then become, where did this object come from and how did it come to crash here? And more importantly, what has happened to it since?
I don't have an opinion on this. I just found it and was shocked that something like this exists and found it absolutely fascinating and just had to throw it in here so that you guys could see it as well. Actual video evidence of a crashed craft from that long ago, I just found that absolutely phenomenal.
How likely is it that there is another version of you just floating around in the universe? The answer is pretty likely. And I'm going to use the Library of Babel to give an explanation of this. The Library of Babel takes into account every combination of letter, spaces, numbers, commas, periods, and it has them archived on bookshelves. I'll show you it first and then I'll explain how it works. Every single thing is contained in these pages. I'm talking secrets you never told anybody, every thought you've had, thoughts that you haven't had, things that you've said to people, confessions, all of it is contained. You can see Colt Daddy Loves You appears 97 million times in these pages. There it is, right there. Isn't that crazy? Let's search something else. A secret I've never told anyone. In high school, I left voicemails for a girl I had a crush on, and I would cry in these voicemails confessing my love. I'm really embarrassed about it. It comes up 93 million times. 93 million times. Look at that. Through all of the chaos and the randomness of these letters and words, it comes up 93 million times. So why is that? The pages contained in the Library of Babel are 10 to the 5,000th power. That is 1 with 5,000 zeros following it. That's more than the stars in the sky, grains of sand on the earth, more than the atoms in the visible universe. So why is this important? Well, instead of searching, you can manually just go through and look at these hexagonal bookshelves, okay? You select a bookshelf, it'll give you the various options. You can pick which row you want to be on, which wall, and then you pick a book. And you can see the chaos that is there. Because more often than not, when you take into account every combination of these letters, you're going to get chaos. But even in the insanity of the amount of pages, infinite, the things I was searching for came up tens of millions of times. So when you take into account an infinite universe, infinitely expansive, infinite dimensions, what is the likelihood that you, in another dimension or another universe, another planet, whatever, and watching a TikTok from someone like me explaining this whole thing? It's pretty likely. What is the likelihood that there is another version of me that launched a company called the Breathe Better Cult that's focused on mouth tape to promote nasal breathing? It's pretty likely. What is the likelihood that there is another version of you that saw a video of me making this, went onto TikTok Shop and bought it to try it out because we just launched? It's pretty likely. Are you going to do that in this universe? I don't know. But would I be grateful? Yeah, it's pretty likely. Anyways, that's just my plug for my business. We just launched on TikTok Shop. Anyways, back to the video. Anyways, you should check out the Library of Babel. You should search for some of your confessions because it's crazy how I have never found anything that I've searched that didn't show up. And to me, this is just the perfect explanation for our human brains that cannot comprehend so much to just visualize and see how in a world of infinite possibilities, just how many repeating occurrences can happen and probably do. I'm at 3 minutes, I gotta cut off the video, but what's really interesting is there's actually a meditation technique where people will meditate and they will think about themselves in a different place with attributes that they don't have. For example, I suck at art, and I would meditate and think about another version of Taylor that is incredible at art. What's wild is you do this enough, you take on those attributes. This universe is just insane. And every day, the saying becomes more true of the more I see, the less I know. Anyways, love you, bye.
I think that's interesting because it's a good explanation of just how vast the word infinite really is. You can put together a string of words that are jumbled nonsense, and you're going to find it replicated in this time and time again in the thousands, because there's such a vast number of possibilities for those words to come into contact with each other and form that string or that phrase. It just goes to show, and that's not even it, that Babel software that he's using is not even infinite. There is you can click on it and look and see just how many powers it goes to. It's x to the whatever power. There's a definitive point at which it stops. So it's not even infinite. So I just find it mind-blowing, the fact that not even being infinite can give you that type of result. It just goes to show you how far off, how difficult it would be for us to even conceive of the possibility of the meaning of the word infinity.
These companies are saying that they're urgently hiring, but yet they're rejecting.
Actually, no, they're not rejecting everyone. They're simply not hiring. I hate to tell you this, but these jobs don't exist. I'm a tech recruiter, and I get ghosted by my company and other agencies we work for and positions we try to fill 90% of the time. I'll have people get first round, second round, third round interviews, even to the point where, yeah, they're going to figure out the financials and send them a job offer. That doesn't happen. There is no offer. All they do is they're trying to make it look like they're busy, and it looks like they're hiring. And then for whatever reason at the end of the road, oh, it doesn't work out. I am literally being told now to don't worry about what hires I get, just worry about hitting my numbers. So that means all they care about is me submitting resumes, and that's it. There's definitely something political going on that they're not disclosing on why they are doing this to begin with, but yeah, it's a load of bullshit. Unless you're a rock star and you agree to get underpaid 20 grand, you're not getting an offer.
That's because our economy is in shambles. It's all a big house of cards, and it's starting to tilt and fall over, and instead of doing something to address the issues and try to fix it, we get lied to and told, oh, everything's fine. The economy is the best it's been in years. It's frustrating, but there's nothing we can do about it other than try to diligently read between the lines and see what the truth is and not buy into the propaganda. I mean, that's really all you can do. But yeah, I think a lot of these fake job offerings are just a means to beef up the available jobs reports so that they can try to make it look like this office of the presidency is actually doing something to try to help American citizens. And in reality, those jobs numbers are all fake.
Show this to your history teacher. Tell me what he says. This is Egypt, Ecuador, 8,000 miles apart. They apparently had no contact. How does this happen? All right. Why does it look so similar, though? Why are the statues doing the same pose? What are they staring at? How does all this represent the same stuff? If they're not exact, they're so close, it's almost indistinguishable. The one thing we do know is they all gave us the same path, an easy way to understand the world and how to live the best life you can possibly live. One or two would be a coincidence. Hundreds? That's a sign. Now that we have the internet, the info we got in the 1800s may need to be revisited. There's something more than cemeteries and calendars going on here. What we thought we knew about all of this is being buried by a mountain of anomalies. Maybe the people that did this knew something was going to happen. Maybe they knew that their world was about to change forever. Clearly, they were good at astronomy. Maybe they knew they could not stop what was about to happen. Maybe they understood they needed a time capsule so that their civilization didn't get lost when their greatest cities went underwater, and the ones that didn't were buried. Maybe this was a Hail Mary through time to you. Maybe they intentionally left these clues, these keys, literally. Maybe they hoped that a great-great-great-grandkid with the most powerful tool in the palm of his hands to connect these dots could validate what they did. Maybe not. But if your history teacher likes that narrative better, I have a link right here to a book I wrote that tries to piece this knowledge together. Maybe you have the key, and then you can give it to me, and we can fix some stuff.
I think it's ridiculous to think that all of this stuff was happening just because it was the next step in the human evolution mentally. I think that clearly someone was teaching lots and lots of different civilizations about the same thing all over the world. And that's why you have these near identical depictions of certain characters, and you have the same stories over and over and over again. You have the same structures being built. You have the same entities being worshipped. It just doesn't make any sense that this would just naturally occur.
I can't be the only one that notices something suspicious going on with these live streams, pretending to give food away to people, pretending to be from certain countries that we're trying to help right now. Pay attention closely, because I've screen captured some of this live stream from earlier. Watch when this man gets the food. Immediately throws it on the floor. Watch carefully. Tries to hide it, throws it on the floor. Okay? This guy here immediately hides it, throws it on the floor. Still stands there. There's more, guys. Just wait. This guy's gonna get another one and throw it down on the floor as well. This guy's gonna throw one behind his back. Watch. This guy gets it, doesn't leave. They're all almost like they're paid to stand here and to repeat this process, throw the food in the bin, circle around the back, and do this again and again and again. And it's sadly something that I don't know is legit, guys. So here we go. Watch. Immediately throws it on the floor. Watch this guy. Or did we already miss this one? He's gonna hand it to this guy here. Watch what he does. Watch the ones that get it. They just suddenly vanish and no one leaves. And then hold up. Here we go. This guy's got one. Look, throws it over his shoulder. Just like that. This guy gets one. What's he do with it? Turns, throws it on the floor. Look, put it in something like a bin behind him. Watch him. This guy's blocking him. Ready? Move out the way. Here he is. He's back. Threw it on the floor and he's back for more. What do you guys think? I can't be the only one that thinks this is suspicious, guys.
I threw this in here just to give everybody a heads up because this looks highly suspicious, and you know a lot of this TikTok stuff where they take donations and stuff is all scripted or fake just to make money. If you think that you're helping anybody by donating to this, you're probably helping one or two individuals, and all the other people that are in there are just getting paid a small amount, and it's just some big scam just to take your money. So I figured I'd throw this in here just as a heads up to anybody. While they're technically not doing anything probably illegal, and it's still really, really crappy because they're playing on people's emotions and taking their money, and a lot of these people don't have the money to give, but they feel obligated because they see somebody in a worse off situation than them. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. That's the end of our clips. I hope y'all enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I hope you come back in a couple days and join me for the next video. I'll be here waiting for you with another one. Hope everybody has a great, safe, fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.